Welcome back to the channel on Monday the 27th of February, and today we're going to be looking at a race from Wolverhampton, the 6 furlong handicap. Pretty decent race for a Monday afternoon on the all-weather, and in particular we're going to be looking at two what I would call turf performers running on the all-weather. Now one of them is the top weight Go Far, and the other one, and you can see we're already trading on both of these, is Michal. Now these are very rare performers on the all-weather, and most of their form has come on the turf. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be analysing maybe more or less the whole field, and we're going to look at the form of the runners in the race, see how that stacks up to the price which is on offer at the moment, and then we're going to have a look at the two in particular, Michal and Go Far, and see how their turf form compares with the all-weather and whether the turf form is good enough to go onto the all-weather. And you can see the prices on both of them have been quite high. So Michal has gone from around about 26 up to 60-65, and that's what we're trading in at the moment. So we're putting in one at 65. We've got a lay bet in at 48, and that will, if we look at that, I'll just change that over. If that gets taken, then you can see we'll have a potential profit on Michal of £212, and we'll still have a little bit left over if we wanted to put money on Go Far. So if that money gets taken at 48, we are in a profitable position and we can hedge out of the market. Now what I've also done, you can see that comes in at 212. I've put a further hedge in the market at 40 for £4.65, and that will give us our target profit for the day of over £5, and we'll still have quite a bit of money running on Michal and maybe putting some money on Go Far. So that's the situation we're looking at so far. Let's have a quick look at the graphs. Fast Track trading between 6 and 9.8. Ninjago again in that bracket between 6, this time up to 12. El Jadaf has just been on the slide and now coming for a bit of support between 8 and 13. So that's that 50% margin again we're looking at on these horses. And again, Russian Soul from 6.4 up to 11. Michal, we've already looked at that one, 28 up to 65. Go Far, we traded that one early last night and we managed to get round about 70, which I thought was a big price, and we laid that off at 45. So sometimes it is, if you do the form the previous day or the previous night, then you can spot these big differences in price for horses that really shouldn't be that big in the race. Now let's have a look at Rich Again, the favourite, or one of the favourites in the post this morning. Now it's not favourite now, obviously, it's gone out to 10.5, and you can see that that has been a big drifter on the exchanges in the morning, and it's drawn 1, so there must be another reason why Rich Again is drifting that badly, and it's gone out from around about 5 up to 15, and we'll have a look at Rich Again's form and compare that to other horses in the race. Uphaven trading between 10 and 15, another 50% range, and Steel Driver from 10 to round about 17. There are a couple more horses in the race, so let's just have a quick look at those. King Robert, that's gone from, well, it's more or less stayed the same. I can ignore the 80, that must have just have been a mistake, a click of the mouse. But we've certainly traded between about 19 and 30. And Uphaven, we looked at Uphaven, let's have a look at the other two. Gentleman trading between 10 and about 18.5, and the last one is Bosham, who's a very fast sprinter, and it's got an inside position, but I'm just worried about the 6 furlongs for that one. It's possibly better horse over 5, and it is a little bit low in the betting as well, and that one's traded quite strongly between about 8.5 and 12.5. so you can see the pattern emerging on the graphs where you've got this 50% spread between most of the horses, and Go Far, that's probably a doubler up in price, and certainly Michal is a doubler as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring up the form shortly, then we're going to come back. I am going to start trading Michal this afternoon between this range here, between 48 and 65, and see how much profit we can actually get onto Michelle before the start of the race. Now the plan of action is to win at least the stake money that we're putting in, and that should be £5, but you'll notice that I'm playing for lower stakes because the price is quite high, and if it goes a little bit higher we can always put bigger stakes on, but there's no need really at this stage to put in the bigger money. We're quite happy just trading because we're getting a big tick between the bet price and the lay price. So we're getting a 65 up here and then 50 down here. That's 15, and you multiply that by 2.25, and that's what we're getting every time we do the bet and the lay. So we are getting quite a lot of potential profit just by using the small stakes. Now go for is currently 40. If that starts drifting out to 55, 60, we may do some more trades on that as well. So let's have a look at the form, and then we'll come back and see what we've done with the trades, and also we'll have a look at the prices in running, see what happens during the race itself. Okay, let's have a look at the form. I'm going to do these in alphabetical order, and we're going to start with the speed horse Bosham. Now this horse runs mainly from the front and will blast off early in the race, providing it's got a decent draw and it can get to the front. And if you look at the form, it started off with a rating of 58 in handicaps as a 5-year-old and won quite a few races until it got rated up into the 90s, and then it struggled to win after that, but it still runs some decent races here at Lingfield, second of 10 beating the length, and more recently at Lingfield over 6 furlongs, which is raced today. 94 was its handicap rating and 93 was the value of the race, or the class of the race. So today you can see it's down quite a bit in the overall rating, so it's -6 in overall rating, and it's got 2 3/4 lengths to make up from this race. So it could be involved in the finish. It depends whether it goes off too fast and the jockey times it right in the lead. So that's Bosham, that's got a decent chance. Currently on offer at 12 to 1, which is about right for this particular gelding. So there's no real value in 12 to 1. We're not going to trade it, and we're going to move on to the next horse. Now El Jadaf, as the same with Bosham, started off very low, really rated at 55, and has come through the ranks and now is rated up at 90, and you can see it won quite a lot of races while it was rated between 55 and 73, and it also won off 77 here at Kempton Park and has gone up £13, but it has recent form here at Chelmsford, which suggests it might again run quite well in this race. So it's up 1 in the official ratings and it's down 1 in class, so it's effectively running over the same conditions as it did last time out. So I wouldn't rule it out, but the price on offer currently is 8.0, and that kind of puts me off for trading purposes. So another one with a chance in the race, but trading purposes not really an option. Fast Track, lightly raced on the all-weather, only had a few runs but enough for us to have a look at the form and decide whether this race is suitable for it, and you can see it certainly is, because last time out on February 18th at Lingfield ran over similar conditions, 6 furlongs, same official rating but down 5 in class, and it was only beaten 2 lengths there, so again suggests that it will be in the shake-up at the end of the race. Won here at Wolverhampton, but that was in a much lower grade, so we're looking at this race here on February 18th to give us a better clue to what it's going to do today. And you can see in the past it's also run well at Wolverhampton, finishing 2nd of 11 in a better class race and with more weight, or the official rating up £6 from today, so must have a chance, but again at the odds on offer 6.2, not really a tradable option. So the fourth horse we're going to look at is Gentleman, and this one as a 5-year-old won 5 races and its rating's gone up from 74 here up to, at the end of the 5-year-old career, 94, and it's been hovering around in that mark now for a few races, and you can see it's struggling to get its nose in front in these races, but Having said that, again, it's run some very good races. We can look here on December the 16th at Wolverhampton. So again, 6 furlongs, down 1 in the official ratings and down 2 in class. Now it's only beaten half a length there, so that would suggest that it must have a chance in this race here. We can forget these runs at Newcastle and Lingfield. Sometimes you'll get horses just putting in bad runs for no reason. You can see here, as a 5-year-old, it ran 2 moderate races at Chelmsford and then came back to form at Kempton. So don't take much notice of the form where it runs a race that it should have run a little bit better. But horses are not machines, they will have off days, but the main thing to remember is, can the horse perform under these conditions? And clearly it can do that based on the run on December the 16th, and also at Chelmsford last time out, where it was only beaten 2.5 lengths, again over 6 furlongs, down 2 in the official ratings and down 1 in class. So Gentleman must have a chance in the race, and that's the 4th one we've looked at that can be considered. Now what we're looking for here is a price that doesn't reflect the form. So Gentleman, you would expect it to be somewhere between 10 and 20, and the current price is about 14, so that's about right. There's no real edge in that price. If it went out to 25, 26, 30, then we may have a tradable option, but currently as it stands, 14, we're not going to be trading on this horse today. So the 5th horse is the one of the horses that we've actually traded on, and that is Go Far. And you can see most of its racing on the all-weather came when it was a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, nothing on the all-weather as a 6-year-old, and now it's come out as a 7-year-old at Wolverhampton. So it has the form to win the race based on its 5-year-old and 4-year-old career, but it's now a 7-year-old, so we need to get form that's a little bit closer to the current date. And to do that, we're going to be looking at its turf form and see how it's performed on the turf. Now sometimes you will get these turf performers coming onto the all-weather and performing quite well, and let's have a look at Go Far's turf form. So here we are looking at the turf form from last year as a 6-year-old. Now it ran at Goodwood over 6 furlongs, rated 97, and the race rating was 97 as well, giving a total rating of 194, and that was over 6 furlongs at Goodwood. So if we compare this run here to today, so a total rating of 194, and at Wolverhampton 184, so it's actually down 10 in the overall ratings, which is a pretty good sign for this horse. And then it competed in some pretty good races. Chester, you're always likely to get surprise results, and then it ran in the big sprint handicap at Goodwood in the Glorious Festival and didn't perform too badly, only beaten 7.5, and then it ran at Ripon on August 13th, and that was its last run. So based on all form, and you can see here as well as a 5-year-old, pretty good form at winning one of the top handicaps, first of 25. So it's not a bad horse at all over these conditions, and it is the top weight, so you suggest that it is the best horse in the race by the official handicapper. So we're going back to today. Will it perform today? It's debatable, but the chances are that it's going to run a decent race. It has form over these conditions, so we'd expect it to be about 30, maybe 40 to 1 with the bookmaker, something like that. But this is actually the horse that we've traded, and you can see we've traded from the previous screen at 70, and I think that's pretty good value for Go Far, and we laid it off a little bit lower down, so we've got a good locked in profit on the horse. And I think 70 is a bit out of the odds bracket for this horse. So you can see, I hope you can see, that 70 is a little bit too big for this horse, and it is definitely a tradable option. If it goes back to 70, then we can maybe trade it again, and it wouldn't surprise me if it went a bit higher than that because of its recent form. But it is a decent performer, and if you look on the turf, then it won first time out last year at Goodwood, so it can run well fresh. So 70 is too big, but I think the market has got it about right currently at 44, but because of its non-recent form, the price could go back out even higher than 70. So we'll keep an eye on that, but we have already traded that, so that's go for probably one of the value bets or trades in the race. So the sixth horse we're looking at is King Robert, and again we're taking recent form from this horse on the all-weather, so we don't need to look at the turf. We've got all the form we need, recent form on the all-weather, and you can see this run at Newcastle beating 3 3/4 lengths over similar conditions, possibly just slightly down in the overall ratings. But this is the important race here at Wolverhampton on December the 2nd, and you can see the conditions are exactly the same. Wolverhampton 6 furlongs, down 3 in the official rating, so it's carrying in effect £3 less than this race here, and it was only beaten 1 3/4 lengths, so again you would expect it to be competitive and maybe go very close today. Current odds are 18.5. It's about right for its chance, maybe a slightly too high, but there's no real trading value. If it went out to high 20s, 30s again, we would probably have a really good trade option on King Robert. So that's the sixth horse that we're looking at in this race, and it's shaping up to be a very, very competitive race, so we need to be looking at getting an edge on the market at the prices. And so far the only horse that we've looked at with a real big edge at the prices is probably Go For, and that's the one that we have traded. So we've done half the field, we're moving into the second half now, the last 6 runners, and this is another one that we've traded at a pretty big price. And well, let's have a look at the all-weather form first. It's only ran twice last year, beating 3 3/4 lengths at Kempton Park, and then on May the 25th, over similar conditions to today, just maybe slightly a bit higher in class, only beaten 2 lengths over 6 furlongs. So we're going back again quite a while to its last all-weather run, so we need to check out really its form performances last year and see if there's any more recent form that we can look at. And if we look at the turf form, we can see that it's run quite a lot as a 6-year-old on the turf, and we've got some decent performances coming in here at a much lower grade. Admittedly, it won at Pontefract over the distance, won by 3/4 of a length, and then it stepped up in class. And at Ripon it ran, to me, a much better race because it was up in £4 in the weights and up 8 in class, and it finished second of 20 in a big sprint race at Ripon, and that was only beaten in neck. So you can take that form there is quite solid in a big field handicap, and it's not much different in terms of class for today's racing. So it was 87 in class, and today's rating is 89 in class. And if we look at Haydock Park, finished 3rd of 11, again beaten 3/4 of a length over, again slightly lower class, but it's not that far off being up to the standard of today. So you would expect it to be round about 30, late 20s, maybe 30 on the trades. And you can see the distance it's been beaten in its last 6 races there. 3/4 of a length a neck, 3/4 of a length, 2 1/4, 1 3/4, 1 3/4. So a pretty consistent animal, and another benefit of it is it tends to run from the front, so you're almost guaranteed that the price in running for Michal will be a lot lower than its current value when the race starts. So what price are we looking at? What price did we get for Michal? Well, we traded it at 50 and we laid it off quite a bit lower than that. So we've locked in a profit. Now, do I think Michal will win the race? No, it has a lot to do to win the race, but do I think it'll finish trade lower in running? Yes, certainly I think it'll trade lower in running. Do I think 50 is a good trading price? Almost certainly, because we could trade it if it went higher than that. So I think we're getting decent value for a horse that's mostly consistent in its races. The only bad run here at Wolverhampton, and again, just ignore these runs because the horses do have off days. As long as you don't get too many of them and the horse is pretty consistent, then you're not going to be too bad. But on occasions, if you look at this race here, at Chelmsford on February the 26th. Finished 7th of 7, beating 12.5 lengths. And next time out, in a very similar race, just came back to form, finished 2nd of 12. So you can ignore some of these races, and it is probably best to do that. So Michelle's covered, we've traded that, we've locked in the profit, and let's have a look at the next horse on the list. Now once again we've got a horse with very little form on the all-weather, going back to April the 4th as a 5-year-old, and we're now almost 2 years on. So again we need to look at the turf form, but that run there was quite good, and you can see its rating was £14 higher than it is today, so it has been a decent performer in the past. And the race class was 93, only beaten 1 3/4 lengths, and that was over 7 furlongs. So what's it done on the turf? We'll need to check that out because we've not got much all-weather form. So on the turf, here we go, let's have a look. Quite a few runs on the turf, 9 performances ranging from May the 21st to October the 21st, so I've been on the run quite a lot last year. And you can see it started the season on a rating of 102 in a race of 91 and only beaten a length, and that's a pretty good effort at York in the big May meeting. So pretty good form going forward. And then late on in the season, September the 17th at Ayr, over 6 furlongs, today's trip, rated 92, class of the race was 93, and only beaten 2 lengths, 6th of 25. So that's good form as well. And also this is very good form on October the 21st at Doncaster. 6 furlongs, rated 90, average race rating 95, a total rating of 185. And if we look at today's conditions, we're down to 178. So it must have a chance based on the form on the turf. Now sometimes you can transfer that. The only track that I don't like to transfer form onto is Southwell, because Southwell is a law unto itself. You can get horses that just don't handle the surface, but Wolverhampton is not a bad surface and most horses will handle it. So Ninjago, decent form, but we're taking it mostly from the turf. And the thing that dissuades me from trading on it is the price. So it's trading at the moment at 6.6, and we've already looked at a lot of the horses in the race, and it is a very, very competitive heat. And 6.6 just does not represent any value whatsoever. Not saying it won't run well, it may well do, but 6.6 is not really a tradable price. So let's move on to the next one, and the next one's going to be a little bit interesting as well. So this is the horse that's drifted from 5.2 right out to 14, and I think you can see why the drift has come in. Firstly, 5.2 in this kind of race is very low, and I think the market is just correcting itself based on the form. If you look at all the form for its 7-year-old performances, race ratings 79, 81, 70s going along. The only race that it really stands out there is at Newcastle, and that was an average race rating of 88 and it was rated 81. So it's up in class by 8 based on that performance, and it was beaten in that race 2 lengths. So we're not getting a drop in class, we're actually getting the horse going up in class and trying to do something it's never done before. So these runs here at Newcastle, if I just highlight them, they're in a much lower grade than today's race. You can see 77, 76, and the rating, total rating, has gone up 20 from the first one at Newcastle and 17 from the second one at Newcastle. So in my opinion it is up against it today, and the price of 5.2 was ridiculously low for the form on offer. 14, 15 more its chance, but again 14, 15 is not a tradable price for me. I would need 30, 34 on this horse, and you're only getting that low price because it's won its last 2 races, and you can more or less guarantee if horses win their last 2 races in decent fashion, then they'll be a lot shorter in the market irrespective of the current conditions. So this is a better race. Obviously this is a better race, and the horse will have to improve quite a deal to win it, and you can see the rating, official rating, is the highest it's ever been in all its runs. So up against it, 5.2 not for me, 14 that it's drifted out to, still not for me. Okay, we're down to the last 3, and I'm pretty certain that this is going to be a closely contested finish. All the horses seem to be in with the shouts, and if you're picking the winner at this stage, it's a little bit of a nightmare. But we are trading, and that's what it's all about. We're trading the horses. We're not trying to pick the winner. We're just trying to pick horses that have got decent form at big prices. And don't be lulled into the security that a big price means it's a tradable price. Sometimes even 60-71 is not value when the form doesn't match up. So you have to match the form up to the price on offer. So let's crack on with the last three. Now, Russian Soul is an import, and just look on its turf form. It's no actual turf handicap form on British soil or on the English racing scene, English-Scottish racing scene. So we're going to have to concentrate on the all-weather form. And it's had two runs, one at Newcastle and one at Wolverhampton. But both of these runs here, you can see, have been over 7 furlongs. And he's beaten second of 9 there and 4th of 13 on this race here. Again, only beaten 1 3/4 lengths. But this time it's dropping back in trip over 6 furlongs. So I think, especially with the widest draw, it's going to get outpaced, and certainly at the odds on offer of 8.6, not really one for me in this race as a tradable option. So we're going to get rid of Russian Soul. That's going to go out of the window. Steel River has had quite a few runs on the all-weather, and let's have a look at its form based on some of these. So we go back to early 6-year-old career, where it's raced at Wolverhampton on March the 12th, over 6 furlongs, beaten a neck, 2nd of 12, and that is quite a bit higher than today's race. So 92, 92, 84, 89, and 184 total rating, 173 today. So we can see that it is a very capable horse early on in its 6-year-old career. Since then it's run moderately, apart from 2 races here in December, and then picking up in the new year at Wolverhampton, Kempton and Kempton. But you can see its last 3 races here have been in much lower grade than today's race, and although the rating has come down, it has been beaten in these last 3 races, and it's stepping up again in class. So if you're basing it on this form here on March the 12th, yes, it could come back to that type of form. It is, or looks, a well handicapped horse, currently on 84, but its recent runs, especially only 5 days ago at Kempton, suggest that it's going to struggle in this race today. Now, if this horse was the same price as Michal and Gaufoir, then I would have no hesitation saying yes, at the price it could be a tradable option. But at its current odds of 16, I think that's a little bit low for what the horse has achieved in its last few runs. So I'm going to pass Steel River over, but it wouldn't surprise me if it ran some sort of decent race. So again, not one for trading. We're going to pass on Steel River and look at the last horse in the race. And that horse is Uphaven. Now let's check out the form for this one. Now you can see that it's run on last win on April the 26th as a 5-year-old. So again, we're going back 2 years for its last winning performance, but in the meantime it's run some pretty good races. And again, if we look here, this is the key race here, December the 2nd, Wolverhampton, rated 88, same today, class of the race 89, so it's identical conditions in every way for today's race. So if we look at that race, take that as the form guide, then today the horse must have a chance. And it's also run well in its last few runs. 3rd of 6 and 8th of 10 suggest that it's not been challenging, but it's only beaten 2 1/4 and 3 3/4 lengths here. So all in all, based on this run here on December the 2nd at Wolverhampton, we've got to include that as a possible contender in this race. Now if again the horse was a decent odds, maybe it would be a tradable option, but its trade price at the moment is 15, so again a little bit low. Needs to go out more to high 20s, 30s before we can get involved on that one. So in summary, a pretty good race all in all, very competitive, plenty in with a shout. Only 2 horses stand out at the odds on offer, and those have already been traded. But it should be an interesting race, should be one that throws up quite a lot of winners in the near future. So I hope you found that interesting. Let's go back and see what happens in the race itself. So we've got about 2 minutes from post time now, and you can see the massive fluctuations on Go 4, and that's what's happened in the last 3 or 4 minutes. And that's why it is important when you're starting off that you don't play in the final 5 minutes, because you can get these massive drifts and you won't be able to lay the price off. So stick to 5 minutes before the race, try and cash out then. And you can see what we've done here. We've got £5 locked in, so that's going to be a profit no matter what happens. So Go 4 and Michelle are the two we've traded. It doesn't matter now whether they finish last and second last. We've still won the £5 on the race, and we can move on to the next race after this one. Now what we also have, we've got a bit more profit on Go 4 at 15.17, 15.78, and we're going to leave that in. We're not going to play that in running, but we are going to play Michelle in running, and we're going to play that one at 5. So I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, click the 5 stake, and then put that in. And that, if I put that in there, you can see that if the horse gets to 5 in running, then we will win £9.75, and if Michelle goes on to win, then we'll still win £18 and a penny. So if Michelle also gets down to 5 in running and Go 4 wins, then Go 4 will be boosted by 5 as well. So that's the plan of action. That's what we're going to do. We're going to click at 5, right click, in play keep, and that's going to be it for this race. So we're about 20 seconds away from post time, and I hope you'll see that the form of these two is not that bad on the turf, and I don't think the prices are justified. You can see the price on Go 4 has gone right out now, 100, 120, and it's much easier to trade when you're starting in the beginning of the afternoon or the start of the afternoon, because the prices don't fluctuate as great as these do, and it's steady fluctuation, and you can always get in and trade out. When it gets to this stage, you know, you are struggling to lay the bets off, so it's best to trade in the afternoon. And you can see the price that we obtained was 67 and laid it off at 49, and now we've got a price of 110, 120. So we, just because we traded at the right time, we were able to lock in some profit on Go 4, and similarly on Michelle trading afternoon, and that's just mounted up to a locked in profit, which is what our target is. Remember, the target for level 2 per race is £5, so we've got that no matter what happens. Even if these two don't run any sort of race, we've still got that profit locked in, and we've got bonuses if Michelle runs a little bit better and if Go 4 wins the race as well. So just waiting for the off now. We're about a minute past post time, and we're going to see what happens during the race. So let's watch these two prices in running. And of course what we could have done is to add a little bit more value on some of these horses by using the profit, and that's the procedure we looked at in video 23, which is on level 2. So you could have done more
Sucker.
I'm happy to go along with what we've got, and we'll just see what the prices go to in running. And Michelle has come down to about 32 already. Go 4 is still well above 100, now down to 85, 75. Michelle at 27. So it doesn't matter how these run. It would be nice if Michelle got down below 5, but it doesn't matter how they run, we still have that locked in profit. So we're round about 3 furlong marker now. You see Go 4 price come right down to 40. So if you were adding value, and now it's come down to 23, so if you were adding value, then you would certainly have won a little bit more on Go 4, and that's traded at 19 now. Michelle 30, getting to the business end of the race. Both of them trading well below the price that they were before the race. Go 4 coming down to 11. Michelle going out, that one's beaten. Go 4 is coming right in. Came into about 2.5. So it's obviously run a very good race. And now it's drifting out and it's beaten. So the winner isn't on this screen. Let's just have a look. Click on this one. And King Robert was the winner. But Go 4 certainly ran an excellent race and got below 5 in running. So if you were adding value to go for and you traded using our method in video 23, then you certainly would have won a lot more than the £5 that was locked in. So that's about it for this video. I hope you found the form analysis useful, and also the trades that we made before the race. Go back to video 23, have a look at the added value using profit. If you had done that on Go4, if you used that procedure, then like we say, you would have won quite a bit more. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you'll enjoyed that, and we'll see you in the next video.